Hey, everybody. Okay, it looks like the House is beginning to vote or beginning to talk about a full House vote for the Epstein files. So give me one quick sec, and I'm going to get this all sorted.
Crypto legislation today, but I will say this. If these bills become law, we can predict many more crypto scandals and crises and money laundering. A lot of people will lose a lot of money and no one will face accountability for taking advantage.
In a few moments, the House is going to begin a vote on the series for the amendment to release the Epstein files in full. Last night, the Rules Committee had the opportunity to vote on Ro Khanna's amendment, and they decided to vote it down. So that was a 5-7 vote. One Republican voted with the Democrats, but ultimately Republicans have the majority on that committee. They voted it down 5-7. So that's where we're at right now. So I'm going to go...
Mr. Speaker, this week the House has the ability to advance 4 pieces of legislation under this.
So I'm going to go full screen on this right here, and I'll come back as soon as we have some information on the Epstein vote and exactly when it's going to happen. We should expect it to happen. It's slated to happen around 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 Pacific. So it should be in the next 5 minutes. Obviously, that's barring the usual delays, but we should be right around here. So I'm going to go full screen on this, and then we will, and then I'll pop back in as soon as we have more info on the Epstein stuff.
1582, the Genius Act, which provides a clear regulatory framework for the issuance of payment stablecoins in the U.S., and H.R. 4016, the Department of Defense Appropriations Act of 2026, which provides critical resources to strengthen military readiness, support service members and their families, invest in next-generation defense capabilities, and ensure the United States can meet global threats with confidence and resolve. I urge my colleagues to join me in voting yes on the previous question, yes on the rule. Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time and move the previous question on the resolution.
Gentleman has yielded. The question is on ordering the previous question on the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Mr. Chair, I would request the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20, the chair will reduce to 5 minutes the minimum time for any electronic vote on the question of adoption of the resolution and the motion to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1717. This is a 15-minute vote.
Okay, so here's what we're looking at right here. It's a little bit confusing, but a vote to release the Epstein files is a no vote. So the nay votes. That's why you already see one Democratic vote for nay, one Republican vote for yay. It's a little bit of a weird procedural thing, but the very basic understanding of this is that a vote to release the Epstein files is a nay vote. So you will see Democrats vote nay, and presumably Republicans who want to release the Epstein files vote nay, which would make sense considering this is the thing that they've predicated their entire identity on. This is the thing that they've predicated their entire brand on. This is the thing that people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Alina Habba and Pam Bondi and Donald Trump have built their brands on. So you would expect them to want to vote nay. And so this will be telling in terms of what happens over these next 15 minutes. Again, for those who are just tuning in right now, this is a little bit of a technical question, but a vote to release the Epstein files is a nay vote. There are not many people on the floor right now, so the vote is open. I presume you're going to see members start to come in to filter in and cast their votes. But that is what we're looking at right now. So for those, again, who are just tuning in, because I know people are tuning in right now as this vote remains open, on ordering the previous question, it's a little bit of a weird procedural thing, but what we're looking at, the very easy way to look at this is a nay vote is a nay vote, a no vote is a vote to release the Epstein files. So it's a little bit backwards, but if you were looking to release the Epstein files, you would be looking to vote no. Right now, all Republicans are voting, all five. We'll expect hundreds, but all five have voted to keep the Epstein files hidden. All of the Democrats, the 4 votes, have voted to release the Epstein files. A nay vote, meaning a no vote, is a vote to release the files. Again, it's backwards. So a no vote is a vote to release the files. So if you see the Democrats voting nay, it's because they want to release the files. It's a little bit of a procedural, confusing thing, but a no vote is a vote to release the files. For last night, there was a vote in the Rules Committee to be able to release it that way. That was a different procedural maneuver. This vote will stay open for a little bit. So, you will see over the next, the vote technically has about 10 minutes left. The vote will stay open for longer than 10 minutes. But I will be here to explain everything that's happening as it's happening. Again, for those just tuning in, because we're having a lot of people join every second, a no vote is a vote to release the Epstein files. It's a little bit backwards. What we are looking for, if you want the Epstein files released, is no votes, nay votes. And you can see them right there on that screen. All of the Democrats thus far have voted no. All of the Republicans have voted yes, because they want to keep them hidden, which is weird. Because you would think that a political party that's predicated their identity in releasing the Epstein files, when they have the opportunity to vote on it, would actually want to release the Epstein files, and yet here we are. Right now, it's still a party line vote. We have 10 Republicans who voted to keep the Epstein files hidden, and we have 7 Democratic votes to keep them, to release them. Technically have about 10 minutes left in this vote. I presume that as the members continue to come in and vote, that they will keep this open for a little while after. Probably a half hour, so we'll be here for a beat, clearly, because there are 435 members of Congress, or probably 430, and only 24 of them have voted so far. Again, for those who are just tuning in, I feel like I'm going to be repeating this a few times here. So for those who already know this stuff, bear with me. A no vote is a vote to release the Epstein files. So it's a little bit of a weird technical procedural thing, but what we are looking for here, if you want to see the Epstein files released, is a no vote. Right now we have not a single Republican who has voted in favor of releasing the Epstein files. Do I think that Republicans will try to spin the final tally as we voted yes, which obviously means the files, and it's the Dems who voted nay, they didn't want to release them? I don't think so, because most people aren't looking at this screen and seeing the yay and nay votes. They're going to be able to boil it down into basic semantics, which is, did you vote to release the Epstein files? Not a single Republican has voted in favor of it thus far. But again, the very easy way to look at this is a nay vote, meaning a no vote, is a vote to release the Epstein files. All Democrats have voted in favor of releasing the files. All Republicans have voted against it thus far. What's their messaging going to be after? We saw a little bit of a preview of that, which is, oh, the Department of Justice is going to release it when they have it. And so basically what they're saying is, oh, we should just trust the government, even though the whole movement is based on the idea that we can't trust the government because they're deep state operatives looking to protect the wealthy elites who are doing unspeakable things. For those who are just tuning in, this is the House vote on the Epstein file release. A vote nay is actually a vote to release the files. It's a little bit of a weird, procedural semantic thing. But we are looking for any Republicans who are deigning to allow the Epstein files to be released. This is something that they've run on for the better part of, several years now, claiming that they want transparency. They want these files to be released. Dan Bongino has been saying it for years. He built his career on it. Kash Patel has said the same thing. Pam Bondi promised, and Alina Habba promised explosive revelations. And now you don't have a single Republican, if you look at this screen, not a single Republican who is voting in favor of releasing these files. 67 Republicans have voted against releasing the files. 67 Democrats have voted in favor of releasing the files. Unbelievable. So I know that the time remaining says that there's about 10 seconds. They will leave this vote open, presumably for another 15 minutes or so. Did I expect different? Only because the Republican Party has made their entire brand wanting to release the Epstein files. So did I expect different? Yeah, I thought a few Republicans might do the thing that they have been focused on doing since the advent of the MAGA Republican Party. Okay, this vote is starting to wind down. I presume that it'll take about 10 more minutes. It looks like we may have had our first Republican crossover. Sometimes people misvote. I wouldn't look too deeply into there's a Democratic vote to prevent the Epstein files from being released. So there you go. They just changed their vote back. So we have no Democrats who voted to prevent the files from being released. For those who are just tuning in, the question's worded a little bit differently, but a no vote, meaning a nay vote, is a vote to release the files. So if you want the Epstein files to be released, you want to vote no or nay. And it looks like we had no defection. So sometimes they just misvote and they fix those. But looks like right now there is a party line vote where Republicans are unanimously voting to prevent the release of the files. There are right now a couple of votes from Democrats to prevent the files from being released. I'm assuming those are just mistakes. You'll see those switch from yay to nay in just a moment. Crazy. There's not going to be a single Republican who votes in favor of releasing these files. Unreal. So for those who are just tuning in, this is to this is to allow a debate on the Epstein files on the floor of the House. You have every single Republican voting against it with a yay vote, a little bit confusing. Every Democrat voting in favor of debating the Epstein files, which is a nay vote, a no vote. Not a single Republican is voting thus far in favor of debating the Epstein files. They want no visibility into what's happening. They want zero sunlight into this stuff. They want to protect Donald Trump. They have predicated their entire identity, all of their careers, all of their brands on releasing these files and getting some sunlight into what's happening against these deep state operatives who are doing unspeakable things to children. And yet, right here, we've got 187 Republicans who are preventing the debate about the Epstein files right now. Unbelievable. I know people are asking if I'm surprised, but this is an instance where I actually am surprised. Truly incredible. We've got 22 Republicans left. Not a single one. Actually, it looks like we have one vote from Republicans, from a Republican, but a lot of times they hit the wrong button and they fix it. So we'll see if this one actually sticks. It looks like this vote will be ending shortly, though. We may actually have one Republican defection because usually they fix their wrongly cast vote. Again, the long and short of it here is a no vote is a vote to debate the release of the Epstein files. So it's a little bit backwards, but if you want the Epstein files to be released, you will vote nay. Every Republican save one, but we don't know if this is an actual defection or if it was a wrongly cast or a miscast vote. Sometimes they vote wrong and then they swap it. So you might see that nay in that one no vote for Republicans flip from the no column to the yes column. But if that stays, then there will be all of one defection on an issue that Republicans basically ran on. Crazy. Truly remarkable stuff. So there you go. The one Republican vote that looked like a defection was a mistake, and it looks like it's going to be a party line vote. At least so far, where not a single Republican is willing to vote in favor of releasing these things. Incredible stuff. Imagine being the party that, like... Imagine being the party that votes to prevent the release of the Epstein files. 12 Republicans left to vote. Not a single Republican thus far has voted to release the files. It's a little bit confusing for people who are just joining, but a no vote is a vote to release the files, to debate the files. A yes vote is a vote not to debate the files. A little bit confusing, but the long and short of it is you don't have a single Republican who's willing to debate the release of these files right now. Man, these last 14 lawmakers are really taking their time, huh? This vote has been open for about 30 minutes at this point. Are we going to see any Republicans vote in favor of releasing the Epstein files, which they've basically hinged their entire brand on for the last 5 years? Probably not. How will they explain this to the constituents who voted for the release of these files? They won't. They'll lie. Like they always do. I mean, these are the same people who are saying that their vote for, who are saying that a vote for the budget bill is going to cut Medicaid when it, is going to protect Medicaid when it cuts it for 17 million people. These are the same people that's saying that budget bill is going to lower the deficit when it adds almost $4 trillion to the deficit. These are the same people that said they wouldn't touch earned benefits when all of their proposals do exactly that. These are the same people that claim that they're going to not hurt people who are on food stamps and they're going to take 3 million of them off of their access to it. So they just lie about everything. They'll claim that the Democrats are still trying to cover this up while they themselves are the ones unanimously voting in favor of preventing the release of these files. Truly, like beyond shame. For those who are joining, this is a procedural vote to begin debate on the release of the Epstein files. You have a no vote is a vote to release the Epstein files, and a yes vote is a vote not to release the Epstein files. A little bit confusing, but the easy way to think about it is if you want to release the Epstein files, you want to vote nay. You don't have a single Republican, not one Republican, who has voted to release the Epstein files. Every single one of them unanimously has voted against their release. What are they hiding? Why wouldn't you want this stuff to see the light of day? Who are you hiding here? Who are you protecting here? Why can they still vote after time is up? I think the clock is more of a suggestion at this point. The vote's been closed for about 20 minutes, but this has always happened ever since I've been covering politics. They have the time remaining, but they don't close the vote until they close the vote. It's subjective. Thirteen members still have yet to vote. This thing is going to be a party line vote anyway. So, I mean, I think it's clear by now that there's not going to be a single Republican who's willing to show some spine. We're still waiting for 2 Democrats to come and vote. But look, the Republicans obviously have the majority. They're obviously voting in lockstep. And It looks like these last 11 Republicans are just paralyzed and refuse to come and vote. Like, I can't think of any other reason why they would not cast their votes other than the fact that they would be on record basically saying that we have to bury the Epstein files. Truly incredible. There's one more. They plucked one off. And now they'll just get to those last 10 and explain to them why it's a good thing to vote against releasing the Epstein files. Wild stuff. So interestingly, one of the yays went to a nay on the Republican side. Usually it starts off as a misvote. So it starts off as a no, and then they eventually fix it and it goes back to a yes. Okay, well, there we go. So, God forbid one of these people actually had some dignity. And we have the last remaining 10 Republicans paralyzed in fear because they know that they have to vote in favor of preventing the release of the Epstein files right now. For those who are just tuning in, a no vote, a nay vote, means it is a vote to release the files or to begin debate on releasing the files. A yes vote is a vote to prevent debate or prevent the release of the files. So it's a little bit backwards, but if you want the files to be released, you would vote nay.
On this vote, the yeas are 211, the nays are 210. The previous question is ordered.
That's it.
The question is on adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
I request a recorded vote.
There we go.
A recorded vote
Let's
is
get 'em
requested.
on
Those
record.
favoring a recorded vote will rise. A sufficient number having risen, a recorded vote is ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed.
I believe they're doing a roll call now.
The House come to order. Shh. The House come to order. For what purpose does the gentleman from Texas seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized. Mr. Speaker, I rise today mourning the loss of life in the state of Texas, but that touched profoundly everybody across this great country. So many people who are visiting this part of Texas. And obviously, we've been struck by the loss of life, particularly for those young girls associated with Camp Mystic. And it has been grueling. It was a rough week. A lot of destruction, a lot of beautiful parts of our state that were destroyed. But we will rebuild. And here's the thing that I want to say. When people talk about destruction, what will not be destroyed is the spirit of the people of Texas and the spirit of the people that those camps represent. The spirit of the little girls who are already talking about wanting to go back. The spirit of the people associated with Dick Eastland, the camp director of Camp Mystic, who gave his life trying to save those little girls. The spirit of Jane Ragsdale, who lost her life saving 5 little girls. Her guitar was found down the Guadalupe River just yesterday. The spirit of all of the little girls that were riding in the bus as they left Camp Mystic, singing hymns, expressing their faith as they were looking at the destruction that they couldn't possibly comprehend as they left that camp. But they were still putting their faith in their Lord and their Savior. And if there's anything that we can take out of this, it's that sense of community and that sense of pride that we have in knowing that we will rebuild and that we will come together.
Okay, so that vote is over. As soon as they had enough votes to make sure that it would not be released, they closed the vote down. That's why as soon as it hit 211 to 210, they shut the vote down. There were 9 Republicans who decided not to vote. Andy Ogles, McCall, Thomas Massey, Barry Loudermilk, Hunt, Luttrell, Green from Tennessee, De La Cruz, and I think his name is Buddy Carter from Georgia. Marjorie Taylor Greene voted to prevent these files from being released. Lauren Boebert voted to prevent these files from being released. Jim Jordan, like all of these guys who staked so much of their brands on releasing the Epstein files prevented the actual release of the Epstein files when they had the opportunity to do that. So, so that vote is over at this point. There are a couple of other avenues that Democrats are going to be able to take if they want to try and compel the release of these files. They have another resolution floating around from Representative Mark Veazey. There's also trying to put pressure on Jim Jordan to subpoena the files from the White House or compel Pam Bondi to come testify in front of the Judiciary Committee. James Comer can try and compel Pam Bondi to testify in front of the Oversight Committee. But the reality is that that Democrats from the minority don't have many other tools other than that. And even when they were able to force a vote, like they did here, the Republicans are going to vote in lockstep to prevent these files from being released. And you have even these far-right lunatic Republicans who've staked so much of their brand on releasing the Epstein files, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's going to vote against it too. So at the end of the day, you can have votes until you're blue in the face, but if nobody wants to vote for it, it's just a failed vote. So look, I don't even know what to say about this, because again, this is an issue that they've staked so much of their brands on, so much of their identity on, and now they are unilaterally responsible for making sure that nobody knows the truth about what's happening with the Epstein files. Who are they protecting? Who are they covering up for? I mean, my God.
Making appropriations for the Department of Defense for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2026, and for other purposes. Providing for consideration of the bill, H.R. 3633, to provide for a system of regulation of the offer and sale of digital commodities by the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and for other purposes. Providing for consideration of the bill, H.R. 1919, to amend the Federal Reserve Act to prohibit the Federal Reserve Bank from offering certain products or services directly to an individual.
So that's it. That's it for this procedural effort right here to compel the release of the Epstein files, or technically to start debate on the release of the Epstein files. But look, it's it's a done deal. They have decided that they would vote in lockstep to make sure that nobody knows what's happening, what the Epstein files say. An entire political party that just spat in the face of its own supporters. So I think that it is, I think that it's incumbent on anybody who pays attention to politics to let these Trump supporters know, if you voted because you believed the GOP when they said that they wanted these files to be released, if you believed Kash Patel, if you believed Pam Bondi, if you believed Dan Bongino, if you believed Alina Habba, Carolyn Levitt, and Donald Trump himself when they said that they would get these files released, they are absolutely full of shit, because they had the opportunity to do exactly that. All they needed was a single Republican to be able to vote in favor of the release of these files. One Republican would have done it. It was 211 to 210. You have a single Republican who's able to find his spine, and these files would have been released. And yet not one. They voted in lockstep. Even the most ardent, vocal supporters of releasing the Epstein files voted not to release the Epstein files. What does this party stand for other than blind deference to the God King? I mean, truly. So, there's some. I'm not even sure what this vote. This is something with the National Defense Authorization Act. But at this point, let's go different screen here. At this point, their position is clear as far as the Epstein stuff is concerned. They have made their position clear. Last night, they voted 5-7 against releasing it in the Rules Committee. They are falling in line. All of these people who said that they cared about exposing, some deep state coup are now part of the very system, entrenching the very system that they purported to want to fight so hard against. These are the exact villains that these Republicans have spent years decrying. They have turned in to the exact villains that they warned everybody about. So with that said, we'll leave it there. I'll continue to cover this. Highly recommend for anybody who is online, continue posting about this. This is a thing that animates the Republican base. And so Democrats gave them what they wanted. They wanted the opportunity to put the Epstein files in the light of day. And not a single Republican voted to do that, because they think it's more important to protect Donald Trump. And let's be clear, they're protecting Donald Trump. There are God knows how many photos of him and Epstein together. Epstein himself called Donald Trump his best friend or closest friend for nearly 10 years. So it's clear who they're protecting. And they decided that their allegiance to Donald Trump was more important than this issue that they stake so much of their credibility on. This issue that they have focused so much of their brand on, have spilled God knows how many words worth of ink about, have spent God knows how many hours on podcasts talking about. They think their supporters are stupid. They will string them along with promises about things they care about, and when push comes to shove, when they have the chance to actually substantiate the very things that they claim to want to do once they had power, they failed to do it. Not only failed, they refused to do it. They were the impediment to doing it. So if you have the opportunity to talk about this, to tweet about this, to post about this, to talk to your friends or Trump supporters about it, let them know what happened today. There was not one single Republican who voted in favor of releasing the Epstein files. It was put to a vote on the House floor. The best they could do is you had 9 Republicans who wouldn't vote at all. But nobody, not one single person, had enough of a spine to actually vote for this thing, the thing that they stake their credibility on. Truly, truly incredible stuff. So I will leave it there. For folks who are watching right now, if you're not yet subscribed or following my channels, if you can go ahead and do that, that's the best way to support my work. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It's completely free. If you're watching on Twitch, hit follow. No need to subscribe or anything. I don't want anybody spending money, but just following on Twitch and subscribing or following on Facebook is the best way to support my work. No need to spend any money on this stuff, but just tuning in is more than enough. So I appreciate everybody's time. And look, the one last thing I'll close on is that we all have agency here. We are the messengers here. No one is going to message this thing unless we message it. So if you know Republicans, if you have social media accounts, if you're going to post online, make sure that you exercise your ability to let this stuff be known. Make sure that you are the one that posts this stuff. Make sure that you're the one to promote this stuff, because the Republicans sure as hell are not going to say a single word about this. And we can't rely on Democratic officials to be the ones to message this stuff. News is democratized right now. We have the ability to get the message out. So if you post online, make sure you post online what happened. Republicans refused to allow debate on releasing the Epstein files. They blocked the vote to release the Epstein files. Not a single Republican voted in favor of releasing these things when they were given on a silver platter the ability to vote for it. Not one. So make sure that you do your part. Make sure this thing is known. Republicans are going to ignore this thing to the ends of the earth, and it's our job to make sure as many people know about this as possible. So that's what we'll do for the rest of today here. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate this. I'll try to do lives more often. It's been a few months since I did a live. There's been a lot of news to cover, and I've been doing regular videos. So I will make an effort, a concerted effort here to go live more. But appreciate everybody tuning in, and check back in later. Thanks.